Expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And hello, K-Man, and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM. We're your hosts, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon, and welcome to Straight Talk, as my colleague has said, the place where we hang out and think together, right?
That's right, that's right.
How are you today?
I'm good, my friend. And yourself? Trust you had a good weekend?
I had an awesome weekend, productive as well as got lots of rest. Wonderful. And then there I was relaxing today, and it's like God just said, shh. Sent the rain, just to top it off.
Just to top
I'm
it
saying,
off.
My God, this was sweet.
It was a beautiful afternoon. It was another, I guess, warm morning, but the overcast skies suggested we might see some rain. And to your point, this afternoon, the skies opened up.
That's right.
And what a beautiful rain shower it was.
I don't know how that could have been better, Austin, as if we had like one of them zinc roofs,
Shh, boy, that.
Them zinc roofs, nothing sang like that.
Nothing.
Rain.
That and the fact that if that rain had come maybe yesterday when we were off,
That
would have made it perfect.
Well, yeah, you're right about that.
That would have made it perfect because, to your point, one just relaxes when the rain falls, and it's such a welcome treat, not to mention cooling the place down a little bit.
Absolutely.
So we're grateful for it. And since we're on the weather, I might as well talk about the weather. What do you say?
Yeah.
Taking a look at your weather synopsis brought to you by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Residual moisture is expected to linger across the Northwest Caribbean and interact with an upper-level low. This will allow for widely scattered showers with isolated thunderstorms through the next few days. So maybe today is just the sign of things to come.
It's the start of it.
Doppler radar images show isolated showers with embedded thunderstorms in and around the Cayman area moving towards the west-southwest. Your forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of late-night showers and some thunder. Showers may become locally heavy at times. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be out of the east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, becoming cloudy at time with as much as a 60% chance of showers and thunder, so definitely an umbrella day tomorrow. Showers may become locally heavy, whilst temperatures will rise to the low 90s. With a heat index near 105. Now, figure that one out. Less sun, more rain, but the humidity factor is still going to be there, so therefore it's going to feel a lot warmer than last week, the heat index stood like at 103, and it was just overcast, so go figure. Winds will be out of the east to southeast tomorrow, 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. The outlook calls for similar weather conditions to continue all the way through until Thursday evening. And with that, maybe it's a good opportunity to remind folks, including ourselves, that today's Tuesday and not Monday. So don't get messed up like we probably will. Well, like I probably will, somewhere towards the middle or the end of this week itself.
Get in tomorrow and don't realize it's hump day.
Exactly, what's up with that,
Like, oh God, this week went really fast.
It did disappear very
like
quickly.
Exit stayed right even. Exactly what's happening to the week here.
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
That's what I'm saying. Like, C and A and NADA, right?
That's right. That's right. I want to send a quick shout out to my good friend, and I think you probably know the gentleman as well, Dennis Chin. You remember the original Pepper Pot days?
Yeah.
They used to be held down there in Industrial Park. Long time ago. Well, Mr. Chin was, of course, the proprietor, and I guess I dare say he was the founder of that initiative, which shortly thereafter took off, and a number of late night, food huts started.
More and more pepper pot.
More and more pepper pots, but he was the first.
The last time, wasn't it on like at Seymour Drive or something?
I think that's about right. Yeah, that's
the
exactly
road
where
you
it
go
was.
like to the block factory.
Yes,
right? On
yes,
the left.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. On
Nice,
the left. You
nice,
got it.
nice,
Exactly. So I ran into.
I'm showing my age.
I ran into Dennis last week. It was such a treat to see him. Didn't even realize he was still on island, and he quickly informed me he never left. He's just, semi-retired or retired these days. I don't know what he calls it, but enjoying life. So, Dennis, if you got your ears on, I want to say great big hello and thank you for listening. He informed us that he tunes in every single day.
Oh, well, sweet. We appreciate that. Well, I could be having it wrong, but I think the last time I saw him was a couple of moons ago. I grant that. But I think it was, I don't want to give away too much information. Let me not give too much. Getting into a boat. Going out on a boat.
Okay.
So apparently he has been enjoying life, if I got it right. He's been doing a lot of boating and
why not, man?
just fishing, enjoying himself. The sport of fishing, Austin.
The sport. Thank you. I knew you'd come around, buddy. I knew you'd come around.
I haven't. I'm just working with you.
I know.
But if you do it right, it's so relaxing, right? How can it be a sport?
If you do it right, yeah, it can be very relaxing. And even when it's a sport, it probably shouldn't be because it is very relaxing.
Right.
Even if you're in a tournament, of course, anxiety's high. Got to catch a fish. But I have yet to experience a bad day on the water ever.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're fishing for sport, fishing for trophies, or just fishing for food.
Every time you mention about this fishing, I keep remembering that I didn't get to big up my friend Basil for some victory he had.
Okay.
On the fishing. I don't remember the details now. All I can say is congrats.
Congrats, Basil. Well done.
Whatever it was. But I know it was a couple of months ago, but he got some big win in fish and surprise. And I don't know what it is.
Good job.
Forgive me. Send me the text with the details, but congratulations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like you and I coming in here and calling it job or work. It's that wouldn't be fair.
No, it wouldn't
Not when
be
you're
fair.
enjoying it so much.
Far too much. Far too much. Well, a bit of good news before we kick off the discussion. Certainly over the last couple of weeks, I think the sargassum, a.k.a. the seaweed, has been all the rage. There have been videos, particularly showing images from canals, with canals either being completely inundated by sargassum. Over the course of the weekend, there were a number of videos showing dead fish, which arguably got caught in the mesh of the seaweed, aka sargassum, and they were killing fish. So it's a real problem, and it's certainly spread across the Caribbean. So the Cayman Islands is not necessarily unique, although arguably we don't have it so bad. But if you drive particularly along South Sound, you can see it starting to pile up just at the surf zone. We saw last week, I think, or the week before, when Parliament was in session, the question over the sargassum mitigation plan came up. And whilst that mitigation plan seemed to have been abandoned under the UPM administration, you will recall, I think it was November 24, when Catherine Ebanks-Wilkes, the substantive minister at the time, along with 4 of her cabinet colleagues, quit. And then, of course, the ministry went under the direction of the Honorable Dwayne Seymour. Under his watch, arguably, the sargassum plan seemed to be discontinued, at least comments emanating there saying it was either stalled for reasons that he did not reveal at the time. However, Catherine Ebanks-Wilkes, who has once again regained the Ministry of Environment and particularly Sustainability, has said that the sargassum mitigation plan is now a priority for the National Coalition for Caymanians. She told the House that once the sargassum response plan was approved, the necessary and equipment as well as supplies would be procured to deal with the recurrent problem currently washing up on beaches on all 3 of these beautiful Cayman Islands. especially along the south shores and in the canals. Though 7 Mile Beach remains thus far sargassum-free for now. I had the pleasure of being in the water on Monday, Ellio.
All right, great.
And there was no sargassum to speak of, which is always
I hope
nice.
you had clothes on, Austin.
I did.
That's all I'm saying.
I did have clothes on.
One of those little string bikinis.
Nobody needed to be treated to that. There's a vision you just really don't want in your head. God knows. Talk about cruel and unusual punishment. Damn. No Speedos, no string bikinis.
Oh,
Just
Lord.
a proper pair of shorts. Thank you very much.
Good thing I've already finished my chocolate.
It's a good thing you weren't eating. That's all I got to tell you.
Anyway, yeah.
Indigestion is on its way.
Now I know what Gary meant. The deputy premier, now I know what he meant when he said this public beach needs to be cleaned up.
Quite right. Quite right. No,
Oh, Lord.
That
Gave me a good chuckle.
There was no
no
mineral
bikinis
bath
today.
in the nude for me. I was enjoying my mineral bath. I sat there frolicking in the waves for the better part of 2 hours. It was really nice. Great weather. Of course, it was early in the morning, so it was still relatively quiet.
Oh, yeah? How early?
But,
You're getting that early morning salt water? You really listening to me, man?
I'm telling you, man. I'm
yeah.
telling you.
You're not old dog then because you're learning new tricks.
Well, I follow instruction very well.
That's very good.
Very well, very well.
That's good for you.
Even this weekend, I also read an article on, it just jumped out at me, on that same onion tea. He gave some recipes, it has onion, a bit of lime, and if you want to be creative, throw in some ginger in there as whatever. But it listed all of the benefits in which, it provides.
Right.
And it had me considering it anyway. I didn't have a red onion. It recommends to use a red onion.
Did you say a prayer and say, did you say a prayer? God protect my friend Ellio because he told me that.
Well,
actually, I got to be honest.
I always ask God to protect you every day, brother.
I appreciate that. But, honestly, the first time I ever heard about that was from Mr. David Arch, which, of course, he mentioned that to me, not necessarily as something to sort of drink on a daily basis, but it was for a slightly different purpose. But either way, at one particular point in time in my life, in a bit of a valley, it came back to me, and I started making a tea out of it and been doing it ever since. I think that would have been like maybe 2003-ish.
Yeah.
I never catch a cold. I don't get sick.
I admire that. I
Yeah,
do.
I'm serious.
And that's the truth.
But it's all the good answers. It's not me.
No,
Got it from someone else.
I hear you.
God gave us the stuff, man.
God gave us the stuff.
But either way, I'm glad to hear you're on the beach.
I was.
Taking some deep breaths of the ocean air.
I was.
And the colder that water is, the better it is. Morning time is great.
It was beautiful in the morning. And again, it was overcast skies for the most part. The sun did manage to come out. I think I got there about 8 o'clock, stayed till just before 10.
Wow.
And, so it was a nice day, believe me.
It's kind of hard getting in at first, but you just got to jump in, take the plunge.
Yeah, you just got to,
do it.
grin and bear it, but it does feel so good.
But
You're
once you
right.
get in there, it's like everything settles down.
Everything settles down. The water was flat. The visibility was fantastic. No murky conditions.
Yeah.
And of course, when you float and you stay obviously still for long enough, then the little jacks start coming around and start nipping at your toes and whatnot.
Right, yeah. Just
so-
to check, see if you're still with us.
Just right. Well, I tell you what, I'd gotten so relaxed and I felt the nibble. I was like, whoa, what's this? I had a moment.
So just so you know how that works, if they nibble and you move, they go, he's still with us.
You're still with
But if they ever nibble and you don't move, they do the whistle. Fred, this one's gone, let's
this
go.
one's gone. That's right. That's right.
Then they start eating on you.
Well, continuing with the good news, and this is a survey published by the Economic and Statistics Office called the Cayman Islands Quality of Life Survey Report for Fall 2024, suggesting that this isn't the first one, but I'll be honest with you, this is the first time I've actually taken notice of it. The survey measures how many residents were satisfied with the quality of life in the Cayman Islands in the autumn of 2024 and recorded a overall score of 82.9%. Apparently, this represents a small 0.7% decrease from the previous survey in the spring of 2024. It is based on a random representative survey of some 1,500 households or 2,900 people aged 18 or older across all of the Cayman Islands. The report examines the changing relationship between wealth, prosperity, and quality of life as a measurable concept. The most significant category, health and wellness, saw 84.8% of participants say they were satisfied. This is broken down into several components, including health services and conditions, which got an overall satisfaction score of 80.9%. Meanwhile, physical wellness received a satisfaction score of 85.1%, mental wellness 84.8%, and spiritual wellness a whopping 92.3%. Health services and conditions were again broken down into skills and competence of staff, which received a 89.4% grading. Overall cleanliness of the hospital, I suppose, received 93.7%. Friendliness and courtesy of staff got 89.5%, and treatment or medicine provided scored a high 89.6%. The remaining component in this category was waiting time for health services, which saw a low satisfaction score of 65.7%. Of those who participated in the survey, 80.6% said they were satisfied with employment and job quality, which is up some almost 5.5% from the spring of 2024. Some of the more positive responses were the relevant employment skills, which received an 89.6% satisfaction rating, and job occupation satisfaction received almost 82%, 81.8%. Material living conditions received a satisfaction score of 84.7%, influenced by a high number of families with bills in arrears, the report said. Economic and physical safety scored 85.7%, with a notable category including scoring of 30% for life circumstance change over 2 years and a 47.3% for positive financial outlook. From a policing, crime, and protection standpoint, they scored the status of crime in the Cayman Islands to a low 52.5%. However, 90.6% said they were satisfied with the level of police protection. So I guess judging the status of crime and the number of criminal events, if you will, satisfaction is low, but confidence that we have the right people on the job was high. So there you go. The Cayman Islands Quality of Life Survey Fall Report for Fall 2024. Who knew?
I don't think I heard about that before.
I've never heard of it before, but again, apparently there was one at the spring of this year as well, but I clearly missed that as well.
I know there was one. Well, I heard about it. I guess it's probably just a name that I'm not 100% sure, because there was a survey that was done just recently and talking about quality of life issues, and that might have been even one that I think that lady Dukaran even mentioned or something. So maybe it's the same thing, but
maybe.
I just didn't remember the name.
Yeah,
maybe.
No, maybe not, indeed.
Who did the survey? Is it government department or something?
Yeah, this was the Economic
I think,
and Statistics
yeah,
Office.
that's the one. That is the one.
Yeah.
Quality of life, I heard about it before.
There you go. There's a bit of, I guess, some more good news. The Labor Force Survey 2024 was also put out, but maybe we'll save that for the 5 o'clock hour. And we also see, again, more statistics coming from the ESO, this time recording the current inflation rate here in the Cayman Islands, both of which I guess maybe we'll save for the 5 o'clock hour.
Not that anyone in this country would be interested in the inflation rate.
No, heaven forbid. No, not at all.
I mean, we're just worrying about a minimum wage at this point. Don't get me started.
I'm trying not to. Not even going to ask the question. I'm going to leave it alone.
Leave it there.
Leave it there. Any good news on your front? Any updates on the goat families? Are they getting busy?
First of all, don't say if there's any good news on your front.
Oh God.
Okay, just
Just
on your
say,
side
on your
of
side.
the fence.
On your side of the fence. There you go.
Change up your
I'm trying to help you, Austin. I'm trying to help you.
I know.
This is getting ridiculous here.
I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, Lord.
Be careful what you say around my colleague, Ellio Solomon.
Yeah, blame it on me.
He's got his ears
Blame it on me.
Blame it on you.
Well, gutters are always put out when it rains.
That's
Austin.
right. That's right.
It is raining. No, like I said, I had a wonderful weekend. I intended to do a lot of work, but I ended up just saying, hey, let me not use that word.
Yeah.
He's like, not today.
Well, you did promise our listeners on Friday that you intended to relax, so I'm glad to know that.
I did? Okay, well, I guess I kept that promise. Yeah, I did.
Certainly.
I did get some rest.
That's good.
And I'm happy about the rain because it's the place is getting nice and green again. So I love that. I'm a nature guy.
Yeah.
Despite those who out there might be thinking slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love to see the green, and it was a wonderful weekend. I can't change anything except, like you said, probably would have been good to get a little bit of rain on Monday just to top it off. But I got it today, so who's going to complain?
That's right.
God's time is always perfect, they say.
It is, certainly indeed.
Speaking about that sargassum, that is looking a bit of a mess, and it smells and stinks to high heaven.
Oh, my God, the smell is just
Maybe it's punishment
terrible.
for our sins, Austin.
It probably is,
I can think of a few, but
Yeah.
I'll write it in the comments.
Yeah, we'll keep those.
I'll post
out.
it. I'll
Yeah.
post it.
I never knew my fault.
I never knew.
We see in today's K-Man Compass, pal of mine, that comments emanating from the conference in which you attended on Thursday is in the news today on Tuesday with the headline, Tourism Minister aims to regain the lost magic for Cayman's tourists. The minister, who was greeted with applause several times during his speech at the Cayman Islands Tourism Authority Forum held at the Grand Cayman Marriott Beach, at which he laid out his priorities for the industry, which includes cleaning up the public beach, boosting local employment, and promoting Caymanian culture to visitors. Mr. Ruddy said that a priority that he will be devoting a lot of his time and attention to will be creating opportunities for Caymanians. He said, and I quote, "To take this industry forward, we have to go back to recognizing that our greatest asset isn't our landscape, but it is our Caymanian people. When tourists began arriving on our shores decades ago, they came here for the sun, the sea, and the sand, but they return year after year, attracted by the warmth and friendliness of Caymanians and the sense of being welcomed back like family." He underscored the need to spotlight Caymanians and Caymanian culture as central to the tourism experience. He added that he would be working with his ministry team to ensure that Caymanian culture is at the forefront of our tourism product, being visibly celebrated and woven into every visitor's vacation experience. I think that's very good news. And it certainly does answer criticisms that we have seen in the past where many tourists, complain or ask, where are the Caymanians? And certainly suggesting that they have not been experiencing, whether it be Cayman kind or Cayman culture, during their visit, no matter how brief, whether it be a cruise passenger or a stayover. And I think this is good news.
I think it's a very common sense approach. And of course, I'm not saying this to diminish what the minister said at all. I gave him all the accolades I believe he deserves, probably even more on Friday. But I definitely think it's a common sense thing. People come to the Cayman Islands. I go to Africa. I'd like to see a couple of Africans.
Yeah.
And I like to see a couple of wild animals. In this case, people come to the Cayman Islands and want to see Caymanians. And I'm glad that he's not just recognizing that, but expressing it. And it's just a matter of, let's deliver. That's what I'm going to wait on, the delivery.
The Minister of Tourism had stern words about 7 Mile Public Beach, which he said fell short of what was expected. He said, and I quote, "On a recent visit to Public Beach, I was extremely disappointed to see beach chairs tossed in bushes, garbage left behind, and barbecues chained to light poles. This is not the experience of Cayman that we want our visitors to have," he said. And I cannot allow this type of thing to continue under my watch. I am not at all satisfied with the situation at Public Beach. and I have already reached out to relevant ministries and the departments to address these concerns. The minister also said that he had arranged for cleanup teams to visit the Smith Bacadir and for improved signage. He was also looking at improving lighting along the 7 Mile Beach corridor. And I don't believe he talked about public restrooms for the Governor's Beach, but we also know that has been in the works, and hopefully it will continue either under the Ministry of Infrastructure and Planning or the, Parks and Cemeteries unit, whatever. Again, we're paraphrasing, always screw up that particular department, but hopefully we'll see restroom facilities, permanent restroom facilities added to Governor's Beach as well. It was in the headlines some time ago. But it is 58 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock, and as usual, we do have to pause, check in with the top of the hour news brought to us by our news partner, the BBC. But when we come back, the phone lines will be open. The number to call, 745-2626 is the number in studios. Or, of course, you can reach out to us on our WhatsApp line, 928-2562. It is going to be a open mic Tuesday here on Bobo 103.1, so keep it locked. There'll be more straight talk still to come right here, so don't even think about changing your radio dial.
Bobo.
The BBC's From Our Own Correspondent.
In today's Russia, no one is allowed anywhere near the political stage if they pose a serious challenge to Vladimir Putin.
Stories and reflections from our reporters around the world.
There is a major sense of insecurity here.
More people are coming in from Sudan every day.
From Our Own Correspondent from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
How can we understand the world better?
The BBC World Service is a window onto the wider world.
A vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
News, reports, and analysis from around the world.
Stories we think matter.
Different people from different societies.
We get to the heart of global issues.
News, stories, and global perspectives from the BBC World Service.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. The BBC is the world's most trusted news source. And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to talk shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman, on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority. At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands. Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
BBC World News, I'm Tom Dewsbury. President Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have been meeting for a second time to discuss efforts to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza, a day after the two leaders had dinner at the White House. Earlier, Mr. Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff said he was hopeful a 60-day truce between Israel and Hamas could be agreed by the end of this week. Gary O'Donoghue has more from Washington.
This 60-day ceasefire has been on the cards, hasn't it, ever since the previous ceasefire broke down in March. Some of the dynamics, of course, have changed in the region, not least with what's been happening with Iran and the bombing of its nuclear facilities. That's changed Benjamin Netanyahu's domestic position somewhat. So the hope is there. It's a question of whether they can actually bring it over the line, and whether or not there's a future plan for after that 60 days for the ceasefire to continue.
The International Criminal Courts issued arrest warrants for 2 senior leaders of the Afghan Taliban. It accuses them of committing crimes against humanity by persecuting women and girls. The judges said there were reasonable grounds to suspect the Taliban Supreme Leader, Haibatullah Akhundzada, and the Chief Justice of committing gender-based persecution. A statement by the Taliban described the ICC warrants as nonsense. Enbarasan Atarajan has more.
This is a very significant development. When they are trying to get international recognition, that's what they have been demanding from the community. The money of the previous Afghan government in the Western countries should be returned and they should be given recognition. But the Western countries and the human rights groups have been saying that they should not be given any recognition until they restore the rights of women and girls.
King Charles has told a state banquet for the French President Emmanuel Macron that the relationship between the UK and France is essential for preserving peace in Europe. Speaking at Windsor Castle, Charles said both countries faced a multitude of complex threats, but they'd face them together as friends and allies. Our diplomatic correspondent James Landell has more.
The theme of the first day in President Macron's state visit was one of shared endeavour, of the need for Britain and France to work together to tackle global challenges. In a speech to MPs and peers, the president said both countries should fight to support the international order and defend Ukraine, and they should reduce their dependency on the US and China. At tonight's banquet at Windsor, the King said the friendship between Britain and France was vital if the liberties and peace of Europe were to be preserved.
The head of France's Foreign Intelligence Service has said that Iran's nuclear program sustained serious damage and has been pushed back by several months after last month's airstrikes by the United States and Israel. Speaking on French television, Nicolas Lenner said there was still uncertainty about the whereabouts of its highly enriched uranium stocks, which he said remained in the hands of the authorities. World News from the BBC. Turkish media are reporting that the mayor of the city of Adana, who was detained on Saturday, will be held in jail pending trial on corruption charges. Zeydan Karalas among a number of mayors from the main opposition Republican People's Party and dozens of their associates to be arrested in recent days. The governor of Texas says more than 160 people are still missing following Friday's devastating flash floods. Greg Abbott said that figure was for the Kerr County alone, one of the worst hit areas. Officials have confirmed that 109 people are now known to have died. Carl Nasmans with rescue teams in Comfort, Texas.
This is not an easy task whatsoever. We're still along the Guadalupe River, and you can see large piles of debris that's washed down. It just shows you, first of all, of course, how powerful those floodwaters were, but it also gives you a sense of the scale of what these rescue teams, these search teams are really dealing with, working kind of piece by piece, trying to get some of those logs and branches and fallen trees out of that pile. And of course, if you do suspect that there could be somebody in there, you want to do that process carefully and as slowly as possible.
1,000 firefighters have been battling a fast-moving wildfire on the outskirts of the southern French city of Marseille, which forced its airport to close for a number of hours on Tuesday. A burning car on the road to the airport is believed to have caused the fire, which spread quickly to the edge of the city. Officials say the blaze is now under control. Several forest fires have raged in recent days in southern France, fanning out at speed due to wind and parched vegetation after a heat wave. In football, the English Premier League team Chelsea have secured their place in the Club World Cup final after beating the Brazilian side Fluminense. The match finished 2-0, with Chelsea's new signing João Pedro scoring both goals on his debut. They'll face either Real Madrid or Paris Saint-Germain, who play in the other semi-final on Wednesday. That's your latest BBC World News.
Opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And And welcome back, K-Man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM, where the time in studio is now 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock with your host, Ellio Solomon, and myself, Austin Harris, as we move into our substantive discussion here on Bobo. The phone lines are open. 745-2626 is the number. And we already, Ellio, have our first caller of the evening. Let's go to the phone lines. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Breaking news. This is a car fire on Eastern Avenue by Punkatang. Hi.
Hi there. Oh, so there's a fire going on right now?
This is a white Audi SUV.
Okay.
That happened earlier today, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in that area actually when even by the time I passed there, I think the fire had been extinguished.
Well,
Nobody now get hurt.
I don't know. I hope no one got hurt.
Hope not.
Indeed, but we do thank you for raising the alarm and sharing the details with us.
But what I wanted to say, I wanted to talk about this parade that they had on Saturday that the minister calling on another show, complaining about today, which I agree with him 100% because them, like I was telling them, nobody not against nobody party anything, but them parades become ridiculous. I mean, it should be some kind of restriction for how they being dressed because, like I said, they do be dancing, they be carrying on vulgar, as them old people would say, and a lot of kids be out there. I went to one long time ago, and me as a woman, I am ashamed. People think that look good. They do be dancing. They be carrying on. They be humping each other and think. And what I was saying, I don't think that they should make them because they be drunk up. It should not be any alcohol during a parade. Yes, I know it's hot and stuff out there, but make them drink water or make them drink lemonade because they be drunk and they be carrying on, and that look terrible on the streets. People is complaining about it, and the minister and I guess people and they were saying about other places. I say yes, but that's what happened to Cayman now. They're bringing other cultures to Cayman. That's why Ireland is gone years ago. And I was saying, like they say, Miss Anna couldn't be living nowadays because they not dressed properly. If they want to put on a bat suit, yes, put on bat suit. Nobody not against that. But they have one piece of proper that not covering their parts. Their parts be dropping out and showing that they're not going to shame for the body.
Right.
That do look good. And I tell them I don't care who like it, because like I can say, why I hear one woman say, I don't care who like me, I don't care what they think about me, and I don't care what they say. And I can't say what I will tell them after that on the radio, but that's their business. But it do not look good.
Out there showing the back and the front.
This is it. And then they has one person in the middle and the next one hunting them from front hunting. Oh, that not appropriate, man. That not dancing. You know what one old man used to say where I come from? He used to have dancing for the young people. His name Mr. Oscar Linwood. If people remember, he used to talk kind of fun, but he used to say when he announced his thing, he used to say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, he said, we can have a good time. He said, but I want clean dancing. No rumbling, he said, no cumbering, plain dancing. And anybody get out of order with their disorderly behavior, out they go. And he used to have somebody to throw them out. We want no rumbling, no cumbering, he said, plain dancing.
Yeah.
That's what he used, and I agree. Because they do be dancing.
Right.
That's not dancing what they be doing. They be humping each other like dog and pig and
sex
cow
and clothes.
That's not nice.
And you said the minister was commenting on the radio. Which minister was that?
No, and I say minister, I say a preacher.
Oh, a preacher.
From a church, and I agree with him. He was very disturbed. And then another station, and I will see the pictures, but I hear him say some of them were terrible. Like I tell you, me as a woman, and planted them, and then they were saying something about, well, Caymanian. I said, well, I don't care. It could be Caymanian, Honduranian, Haitian, whatever. They not got no pride for themselves. What my mama used to say, they're behind coming on their face, and that shouldn't be showed to the public. They should have a little bit of decency, and that don't look good. And if anything for me was to go out there, I would go out there with a switch and beat them off of the road. They would have to arrest me. That's not nice. And we not used to that kind of thing going on around here. Yes, I mean, like people say they're young, and if you want, but what they be doing, not dancing, and I don't care who disagree with it? Who disagree with it as far as I'm concerned, like them, because they say birds of feather flock together. That do be dancing, they be drunk up, and they be doing all kinds. No wonder the little 9-year-old and 6-year-old be questioning all kind of things now these days, because they have kids out there watching.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's not appropriate.
No, indeed.
That's vulgarness.
Yes, ma'am.
And no respect for yourself. The men and the women in some of their parts be dropping out and they have on these little things, barely covering their nipples and all that. That shouldn't be, because they're not costumes. They're scandal. Disgrace to human being.
So you believe that we are seeing a complete decline in moral standards in Kenya?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And government should be able to look into something like that. Yes, you can have the parade, but because like I said, they don't have one. Some of them have one costume, but then and bathing suits and stuff. But then, like I tell you, plenty of their parts be out. They be showing their butt crack and their cheeks and everything. You could put on nice, decent shorts. And if they want their belly out, well, that's nothing but cover your top, cover your bottom.
Yeah. Definitely, I hear what you're saying, caller, and I'm definitely not going to be one to disagree with you.
Well, that's right. And I don't care who disagree, because like I tell you, who disagree like them, they don't have no morals. They say birds all feather flock together. Show me your company and I'll tell you who you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
That's how it go. So I don't care, and I know they will for me, but like I tell you, I don't care what they think about me. I don't care who talk about me, and I don't care if they like me. God loves me, and to hell with the world.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's all you have to say about that.
That's right. That's right. And like I say, God for us all, that we all should be serving the Lord, because these are the last days now, because they said this, so you can see more. That and how that fellow was going on about them gay guys, at least, well, they had on maybe bikinis, whatever, but I saw them when they were out there, and the thing I saw the video with that, and at least I never seen none of their parts out.
Not yet.
And if they were hugging up, well, I never seen either one. I want to see them whispering in each other's ear. But then, well, they gay. I mean, that's their business. But at least they were decent. I never seen either one their butt cracks or their penis or nothing. I never seen nothing on them. Okay. And that boy was cussing them, telling them he can't bust their head, and it can't go on and came on and this and that and next thing. So, so if they could go against them, but I bet you that same one that followed the cussing them, I bet you he was down there looking at the parade and seeing them girls behind and whatever and thinking, I bet you they enjoyed that.
I'm sure.
The hypocrisy,
so good for the goose, good for the gander.
Yes, ma'am.
I hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for your call. Certainly do appreciate it. Obviously referring to, I think it was the K-Mass Carnival that took to the streets over the long weekend. Ellio, we got another text along the same lines of that last caller's remark. It says, gentlemen, our capital locked off so the young can see the culture that made their parents teen parents. Lust and destruction in the streets. Tomorrow, the same people who degrade and disrespect themselves in drunkenness and foolishness will be demanding respect.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy of it all is blinding. And again, we do appreciate the comments emanating from our listening audience. 745-2626 is the studio number, or you can reach out to us at 928-2562.
Well, I think you have to be blind to not see the sort of moral decline that's taking place in this country, in the world, as far as I'm concerned, but definitely in this country, you have to be blind to not see it. And what becomes worse, is all of this moral relativity, so it's no moral standard, because our good friend is the same one that calls and says, as sure as Christ died for the sinners.
Yep.
But let me just tell you, I'll just say this, because I'm sure I'll be criticized for it. But I think at the end of the day, I was even reading one of these recommendations, or some of these recommendations coming from the UK. You remember, was it the Olympic game in Tokyo or one of those places? I can't remember exactly where it was, where they had the big thing on the Last Supper.
Yeah, that was France. Yeah,
France.
They had it in France. Yes.
The Last Supper, and of course there was a big marker there. Let me just make it clear to you. If you can't see that there's an outright attack on Christianity, something's wrong with you. And the reason is, and I remember reading this back on when I was doing Vision 2008, which would have been 1998. Boy, am I showing my age. 1998, I was working on Vision 2008, and I'll never forget reading a particular document. It was talking about the OECD at the time, and it was talking about multilateral agreements on investments and all kinds of stuff. And basically, they were talking about these cross-border movements that would allow all these companies, and that there should be nothing in the way of these various companies being able to be global. Okay, you must have a scale of ice. So I want you to understand, and the Bible kind of says this, but I want you to understand at the end of the day, Christianity is one of the fundamental things in terms of all of this morality that is going to impede commerce in the world. Okay? So, for example, to simplify it, it would be a case of, well, no, you can't be selling dildos here because at the end of the day, we don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. And that we don't believe in this, and we don't believe you should be selling some gay outfits. Christianity stands in the way of the world of money. And at the end of the day, this is one of the things I was reading from back in 1998, how you have to get rid of this. You have to get rid of this. And if you can't see that there is a outright attack on Christianity, anything that stands strong in terms of a moral, and let's just be clear, Austin, you're a good old sinner. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But you know the difference? I don't try to tell everyone that what I do is right. Mm. And I definitely isn't trying to promote it that it should be right. Mm-hmm. There's a difference, you see? At least we can accept somewhere that, boy, I really try to get myself organized in that area. But there is outright attacks in this. I don't know if any one of you have had a chance listening to me to read the papers today. Let me see if I can pull this up. This so-called commission here, yeah, now it's about ex-cons, et cetera, being able to run for office and stuff. Let me just give you some of this. Give you a little more taste. And of all my friends that, I just love the British are good. Nothing bad comes from Britain. I would definitely say Britain probably had some good things about it. I don't know where all this wokeism coming from now. So
certainly when you talk about the end times, as the last caller did, I do believe the Bible, describes the end times as a period marked by significant upheaval and moral decline. And all of this, of course, culminates into the second coming of Christ. Many people have argued that what's going on in Israel right now is also indications of Bible prophecy coming true. And whether you're a believer or not, you can certainly accept the fact that, Christianity ain't as popular as it once was.
Well, you see, this is the thing, is that, again, you have to look at the shift. And let's take an objective view, right? The objective view is that you have this ideology over here that we call Christianity, and that it has some moral absolutes, X, Y, and Z. Anything, for example, that you do that's damaging to your temple, knowingly, the temple being you, your body, is wrong. See, nobody wants to hear that nowadays. What's wrong with me smoking a spliff? Come on, What's wrong with me doing a little coke? And once you keep going down this line, well, you know where you end up. And you got all of these moral absolutes, for example, that 2 men shouldn't be together and 2 women shouldn't be together. And if you just think about it on the other side of commerce, well, if I can get 2 men together, think about all the additional monies I can add to the table. Well, I got some special devices now that I might need to help facilitate this process that I wouldn't be able to make money on had it just been male and female. And you can keep extrapolating that, and it becomes very clear how Christianity is going to stand in the way of commerce. It's going to stand in the way of money. It's going to stand in the way of what God says, mammon, okay? You can't worship God and you can't worship mammon. And bottom line of it is, you're going to end up with a situation which, as he said, you will be persecuted for my sake. And it's going to be a real challenge. Let's look at some of these key recommendations coming in now from this UK parliamentary group. Key recommendations: restore candidacy and voting rights to ex-prisoners. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, advises removing blanket bans on individuals sentenced to over a year or convicted of dishonesty from standing for Parliament or voting after release. under current laws, such as individuals are disqualified, even if their criminal record has been spent by existing legislation. So again, for clarity, if you're a parliamentarian, the one thing that you cannot do is to be found in an act of dishonesty. So somewhere, and probably leading from our biblical past, and by the way, just in case you know, on this rock here, chances are Christianity was brought here by the British, just so you know. But somewhere in our background, we felt that if you're a person that is dishonest, you shouldn't be able to lead the country. You shouldn't be able to lead because you have shown that you are dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is almost, I don't know, could be my radical mind, but this seems almost common sense. If you are dishonest, you shouldn't be able to serve in office. Now we're saying, for sure, it doesn't matter if the person's dishonest, ex-con, whatever. Let's give them a fair shot. Let's give them a fair shot to run for parliament and to run the country. You know, make decisions for you and your children.
That's right.
Which, of course, it's like, what are we saying here? Again, going back to the same Bible, the Bible is something that tells you what you should possess to be a leader in the church. And equally, one could argue that it transcends from the church equally, or at least in part, my friend, to what you should have in terms of principles, etc., as you run the country. And this is where you get a lot of those laws, which is why I say to people who want to say somehow that we don't legislate morality. Of course we do. We either legislate morality or we legislate the lack of. But that's what we do. All the rules that we follow will either be saying to us that we are either moral persons or we are not. And so they're saying that ex-cons, in terms of this whole issue of dishonesty, should not be a reason why an individual shouldn't be able to run for office. Rethink spent conviction exclusions. The criminal records spent convictions law also expungement after a crime-free period, but specifically excludes convictions from being exempted for election eligibility. The CPA urges that the Law Reform Commission consider whether such convictions should disqualify someone from seeking office. So, you know, our law presently states if the individual has served 12 months or more, they shouldn't be able to run for office. And again, that means if you've done 11 months and 29 days, you're still all right.
Yep.
But past that, you get to the 12th month, anything after that, you shouldn't be able to run. And again, these guys are saying, hey, screw that. They should still be able to run for office. Now, and I heard people saying, hey, you know, if that guy committed crime against a young person, they should have a sexual offenders list and everyone should know who they are. Well, apparently now we're going further. We're saying let them run for office. Ease residency and absence thresholds. Candidates must have Caymanian citizenship and live in the islands for a minimum time of 7 years in Cayman, if Cayman born, 15 of the last 20 if naturalized. Additionally, absence of more than 400 days over 7 years bar candidacy. The CPA deems these lengthy periods arguably unreasonable. Now, I'm just going to pause. We can get into it more, right? But suffice it to say, again, my two pet peeves is going to be one, I really don't understand why is it that the British is coming here and trying to, as far as I'm concerned, wreck the Cayman culture. Why are you trying to force this wokeism down our throats that, you know, I have to be able to have my streets, my parliament and everything, I don't know, filthy and corrupt. Why they're doing that, I have no idea. But, you know, maybe some of the British lovers might be able to tell me exactly why we should tolerate that. And for those who say that they're not having in any way at all a negative influence, again, they can explain it to me. I'm happy to listen. And the other thing is just plain outright, these are things that you and I have sat there, our country, our forefathers, sat there and had specific things that they felt were right and wrong. And I'm pretty sure that they got those inferences from the things that they read in the Bible. And I'm saying to you that if you look at it, you have to be able to see that this is an attack on Christianity. I'm just spelling it out. I'll be labeled the theocrat and anything else that they want to call me, but I'm just telling you, it is an attack on Christianity. And any Caymanian who has any sense of Christian values has to be able to see that. When exactly will you wake up and see that they have been attacking Christianity, that is precisely what their aim is? is to make it at the end of the day that all you can have around you is moral decrepitude. That's all you're going to have very soon if we continue with all of this. You know? I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong, according to them, if somebody goes, you know, he's a pedophile. You know, who cares if he slept with a 3-year-old? He served his time. He served his time. Now put him in the parliament, let him make some decisions on our behalf. You know, this is where the country is going. And when at the end of the day are we going to wake up as Caymanians and say, listen, what the saying was, enough is enough. Which, by the way, I got to talk about that, enough is enough.
All right.
Yeah. When are we going to wake up and say that enough is enough? The moral decline, and again, people seem to be able to keep distinguishing between themselves and the country. Like, in other words, I wouldn't want the sexual offender to be running my household, but it's fine if he's in parliament. You know, marijuana legality for the country, it's fine. As long as you're not smoking it in my household, but I don't understand how that makes sense. If it is not good for you or your family, it shouldn't be good for the country. At the end of the day, it is a strong family unit that makes a strong community, and strong communities make a strong country. If at the end of the day, I want to weaken this structure, the first thing I'm going to do is try to damage this family unit. And bottom line is, I'm eroding it right now. That is what is happening right now in our country. It is being eroded. And somebody just wrote the text and saying, yeah, these same young persons that are out there dancing are the same ones that are going to end up in the teenage pregnancy, right? So that we can do what, Austin? What happens with the teenage pregnancy? Right? Somebody got pregnant, there's no father involved, and does that make a healthy child growing up that doesn't grow up with his father? And then maybe the mother abusing it because she can't take the stress. And then she has to lean on who? The government? You mean the royal we have to pay it?
If I can just interrupt.
Big break.
Stick a pin. Yes, indeed. We do have to pause, take a short commercial break. But obviously the conversation on the debauchery and moral decline that was KMAS will continue when Straight Talk returns right here only on Bobo 103.1 FM.
More Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio coming up. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Bobo 103.1.
We all work hard to one day buy the house of our dreams. Why wouldn't you protect it? With Saxon, you now have the option to get a home insurance quote online. Avoid the waiting in lines and the traffic. Simply log on to saxon.ky and click to get a quote to get started. At Saxon, we pride ourselves on providing our customers with excellent customer service and convenience. So what are you waiting for? Visit saxon.ky today from the comfort of your home or office to get your quote and protect the things you love. Saxon. Smart Insurance.
Visit Healthcare Pharmacy's second location in Governor Square, servicing West Bay and the 7 Mile Beach Corridor with the care and professionalism you have come to expect from Healthcare Pharmacy. Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square also stocks a huge selection of Hallmark and shoebox greeting cards, vitamins, sunblock, last minute and everyday needs. To refill and transfer your prescriptions, simply WhatsApp 329-7313 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or drop by Monday to Saturday from 9 till 6.
The Office Hero. To claim this title, you have to make an exceedingly wise decision. Do something that benefits staff, impresses clients, all while keeping expenses low. Are you ready to be the Office Hero? Here's what to do. Call Hughes Cleaning Service. Hughes Cleaning Service will make your office shine and you a hero. Dusting, vacuuming, windows, sanitizing, and more. Hughes expert cleaners will make your office a healthy, immaculate, impressive workspace. Call 949-0734. Visit hughes-janitorial.com. Hughes, you get more than clean.
Hello, pet parents. We're K-Man Vets, K-Man's most advanced veterinary clinic providing quality care and services. We are committed to being your pet's advocate and friend, offering a lifetime of care. From vaccinations and wellness checks to more advanced surgical procedures, complicated medical concerns, and emergency care on demand. For more information about us or to get in touch, please visit kmanvets.com. K-Man Vets, where compassion meets excellence.
Insurance matters. It gives you the confidence to live life as you should, knowing you're protected. As a leading local insurer for over 25 years, Island Heritage has a consistent track record of providing best-in-class customer service with quick and efficient claims processing. This means insurance you can rely on when you need it most. The Island Heritage Way. Visit us online at islandheritageinsurance.com today to learn more about our home, contents, motor, marine, and commercial insurance products. Go on and live your life. With Island Heritage, you can.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
Across Cayman on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority, committed to caring for you. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, Cayman, to more Straight Talk, brought to you by Bobo 103.1 FM with your host, Ellio Solomon, myself, Austin Harris. And the phone lines are open and will remain open all the way until 6:30 this evening. The number in studios to call, 745-2626 is the number, or you can reach out to us on our WhatsApp line, 928-2562. And from there, you can either share a WhatsApp audio note or choose to write us a traditional WhatsApp text message. And of course, we will read your comments live on the air. Ellio, prior to the break, you were commenting, obviously, on the lewdness, the devolving of moral standards as demonstrated by the latest KMAS Road Street Carnival?
For clarity, my comments extend beyond that. I mean, the lady brought the whole issue up there, and it includes those, but I'm extending it beyond that. I'm encouraging us to look at the country in its entirety, all the things that are happening. The recommendations coming from the Commonwealth Parliamentary Group about ex-cons, again, having no problem. They should be able to serve in office, and a myriad of different things. Mm-hmm. And as we look at this whole issue that she just talked about with respect to KMAS, where exactly is it that we're going? We have to be able to see where this is leading us. I mean, we not have a crystal ball. We don't know every single thing in the future, but you have a pretty good idea when I throw a ball. You have a pretty good idea as a human being. You know where it's going to land. Mm-hmm. You got a rough idea. And we have to be able to see and have a rough idea is exactly where this particular ball that we're throwing is landing. And I want people to understand, just like how you saw that particular thing, the Last Supper, being made a complete mockery at the Olympic opening in France. I assure you it is the same thing happening globally, but in terms of Cayman, it is the same thing happening. This is a direct attack, just as it was in France, a direct attack on Christianity. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it is because, amongst other things, Christianity is standing in the way of the world right now. It is this thing that's a stone, it's a thorn in my side, it's a stone in my shoe. Mm-hmm. It prevents this good flow of all this money we can make and a myriad of different things. People capitalize. Let's understand. Let's talk about teen pregnancy. People capitalize right now on teen pregnancy. Let me have a look. How much children are being thrown away every year through abortion? Let's go have a search. Give me a second, Austin. You fill the air while I do a quick search here.
Sure, no problem at all. Well, I just thought I'd throw in something emanating from the listening audience, taking us a little off topic, but a writer asked the question, have you gotten your latest CUC bill yet today? No, I haven't. And certainly if you look at the headlines today, it suggested that CUC says that residential customers should expect to see a 9% decrease in their July energy bills compared to the same month last year. However, listeners to the program are stating that their light bill that was just received for this month toppled some $1,100. And they also shared a copy of their bill, which shows the largest factors dictating the utility bill for this month. An energy charge of 0.136 percent, I think it is. There's the cost of fuel, which continues to be obviously the major contributing cost. But I also see something on their renewable energy charge of $30. I'm wondering, is CUC charging us for their renewable energy infrastructure as part of the regular charges on your utility bill? It's a question. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
but
well, I have some comments about that CUC thing as well. And
persons are suggesting that they are not experiencing any decrease, though it was promised in today's headlines nonetheless.
I hear you. Will that Caribbean say, soon come.
Soon come.
So I'm just looking at some statistics, right? Let's understand. All of this devilry that we get going on. Why is it? Because it's money to be made. In the United States, I have here 1,037,000 abortions in 2023. The average cost of an abortion is somewhere between $300 and $800. That's a lot of money. All right, that's a lot of money for people to be made. And how do you get abortions? You get abortions primarily, people having children out of wedlock or somebody getting pregnant out of wedlock, and the list goes on. And I'm not going to harp on it. I didn't plan to discuss this topic, but maybe I should. I'm going to put something together so we can discuss it. But I don't care whether it's the now accepted Pride March and who can get married. Good marriage officers, we're marrying whatever we marry. And then at the end of the day, the marijuana. Then at the end of the day, we'll soon. I think they have it now called MAD, M-A-D. The acronym is MAD now, apparently, when we're working towards pedophilia now, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Soon we'll all be able to have our little 9 or 10-year-old girl strapped by our side, or a little 9 or 10-year-old boy. Depends on how we feel for the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's being put under the acronym of MAD. I got to try to remember what that word that is, because I can't keep track of all this, LGBTQ plus and the list goes on. Mm-hmm. All I'm telling you is that you have to see the deliberate attack, because why am I going to say deliberate? You've got people coming now to Cayman and telling you to institute these things in your laws.
Mm-hmm.
Put these things in place. And so if you think that the attack on Christianity only took place at the Olympic Games in France on the Last Supper, you are making a mistake. And I know all of you Caymanians, like myself, we aren't perfect. But hopefully we still have that the majority of us has some belief in God Almighty. Hopefully we still have that as the majority. And so I'm just encouraging you to see what the world is asking you to do. And you're going to drop it one little piece at a time until God is completely gone from this country that we call the Cayman Islands. It is an attack on Christianity. Moving on to this CUC issue, Mr. Harris. Now, I wanted to chat a little bit about this, and I'll just do so freehand. But there was an article in the Compass that was talking about, and I want to ask forgiveness up front to all of those persons who are directly involved if I happen to get anything wrong. And I have to admit that some of this has to be by inference, because a lot of these things are going on. You got a call or something? I saw a finger.
No, I just remembered where I saw it.
There's all kinds of issues going on with respect to the courts and stuff. So I'm going to give you some bullet points, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's important for us to understand with this CUC thingamajig. CUC has had the monopoly in this country for decades. They have been monopolizing electricity, and I don't think I have to tell anyone how beneficial and great that monopoly has been. I think, what was that last revenue thing we saw in terms of profits? 68 million something. It was something like that. 68 million something profit for the year. Let's put it this way. They're happy. They're making a good jingle. They make a significant amount of money, and they have been doing that on the model of fossil fuels for decades. The country has been calling to see a decrease in our electrical bills. And there have been many persons, the James Whitakers, and quite coincidentally, the James Knapps of the world he's by the way, has now passed away, the late James Knapp. Many persons in this country calling to be able to get solar panels, for example, on the roofs of people's houses so they can engage in reduce the cost of their electricity. On every corner, without me getting into the specifics, I am not the expert in it. I'm giving you a cursory overview. CUC has fought arguably all of these things left, right, and center, making it very difficult because let me tell you, for those who might wish to challenge that, you cannot tell me that CUC was behind everybody getting solar on their roofs and nobody not getting them.
Right.
No, there's something holding it up, okay? The core program, everything, challenges to it, CUC. Now what you see happening, CUC is now getting to the point that it's going to have to potentially buy a new generator in order to facilitate all these new places you see coming online, the Hyatt, which, by the way, I will take a little sidestep. Austin, you and I have talked about stay with visitors. When we got the stay with visitors, that's also increasing our cost of living because we talked about this. It means a new hotel comes online, maybe you need a new generator, and not just the hotel pays for it. We all pay for it.
I see the article here that quoted CUC's earnings. It says CUC, the power provider for Grand Cayman, experienced an increased earning in recent periods. For the year ending December 31st, 2024, net earnings were $42.7 million, representing a $4 million increase compared to the year prior. This positive trend continued into the first quarter of 2024 with $1 million increase in net earnings to over $6.2 million, a 18% increase. These increases were driven by higher electricity sales and customer growth.
Well, again, I remember seeing something with 60 million plus, but I'll happily have a look later on.
Yeah.
So bottom line is now they're at this crossroads with all these new structures coming on board where they have to potentially buy a new generator. Now, catch this. Considering that there's all these hold up with the core program, again, allowing the average Joe in Cayman to be able to buy solar panels and to be able to allow themselves to utilize these renewable energies and to be able to save themselves costs. And I'm keeping it simple. I don't want to get into all this technical jargon and lose you. They fought you being able to put these panels on your house.
Yeah.
And I'm going to argue that the reason why they did that because they can't control it. So now they find out that Offreg, again, with people at the helm, such as Mr. Simon Jackson, which again, I put a lot of confidence in that gentleman. Hopefully this government doesn't get rid of him. So at the end of the day, you got these people who now represent us the people, via Offreg. And Offreg has decided that they want to outsource now. They want to be able to not outsource. They want to get another company to come in and to set up solar panels to be able to provide energy for the grid. Because understand, the monopoly for CUC now no longer exists on the generation of power. It only exists on the transmission and distribution.
Yep.
So now, while Offreg is trying to say, hey, is there any company in the world that wants to come and use all this land and build some solar panels and help pump good, clean energy into the grid so that our people can get a lower cost? Now when CUC sees that, you see, CUC now says, hey, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. So now they're saying, oh, by the way, we bought up some land too, by the way. Give us the rights to go ahead and be able to set up all these solar panels and provide our own renewable energy. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, they're not really doing that at the end of the day to give you a good deal. No, because they had years to do that. No, they're doing that because they don't want the other guy to do it. They now want to monopolize, now not just the fossil fuel side, they want to monopolize the renewable side as well.
Yeah.
And then they're going to tell you and promise you a low cost if they do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you know, let me invite CUC and all of the stakeholders to come on the program and discuss this issue. But I want to again say to my Emmanuel people, let's not be fooled by CUC running around talking about this, and that. It is a bottom line is they're the monopoly and want to stay the monopoly. We need other companies, other individuals to come in and to be able to create electricity, generate it, and put it on the grid so that the people of this country can get some relief. We're having electrical bills that resembles mortgages. We need some relief. And CUC isn't going to give us the relief. All right? They had donkey years to give us relief, and they haven't given it to us. And so don't be fooled by some of this stuff now you're seeing in the papers and all this sweet talk coming from CUC. Absolute nonsense. Get another company in here. In fact, get 2 or 3 or 4 pumping electricity via the solar panels. Let them come in here and pump electricity on the grid that is controlled by CUC and get it to our homes clean, fresh, reliable, and cheaper, because we're tired of paying the high bills. So that is my commentary on CUC. I've touched a little bit on morality, all of which I want to delve into a little bit more. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, because during that discussion, I talked about enough is enough, and I'm interesting about this, Mr. Harris, this enough is enough.
Yes, sir.
When I first heard this campaign slogan, enough is enough, I said to myself, well, that's a very appropriate. I thought it was a very good, catchy slogan. Didn't you, Mr. Harris? I'm sure you did. Very, very catchy. Enough is enough. Until I discovered that this was the exact same slogan that was being used by the left in the UK in 2023. Did you know that, Mr. Harris?
I did not.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so
you're educating me now.
Okay, great. I love to educate, enlighten, and elevate the public. So in 2023, the left, and by the way, not just the left, who's in power, I mean, like the far left, some of them up inside now, far left, had this exact same slogan, enough is enough. Now, there's nothing wrong with borrowing a slogan, but, I think from a plagiarism standpoint, we at least normally say, listen, quote the author.
Right.
Like when you say, as my colleague used to say, financial independence is the only true form of independence.
Indeed.
Because if you just say it like you figure it out, well, that's a bit of a plagiarism. So I think it's a little disappointing, first of all, to hear that this enough is enough was, in fact, being taken place in the UK. And there's also a similar one not too far after that utilized in Ontario. And I thought I'd just highlight that because this, to me, starts to point us in a certain direction that there's some questions that needs to be answered with this. And I'm not going to ask those questions today because I think I need to delve into it a little bit more. But I can say to you, first of all, let's get past the fact that somehow the Enough is Enough campaign was just perfectly unique for Cayman and homegrown and organic, because apparently it wasn't. No, Enough is Enough was occurring in the UK in 2023 and also in Ontario. Right? And for what it's worth, note that. And it has to cause us big questions as to, well, do we have any particular person specifically in the CCP? This is not to do with CINP, just for clarity.
Yes.
Nor the independent candidates that are with them. This is a TCCP specific issue. Are there any connections within our CCP coalition government that's connected with the present party in power? I mean, I do know that we in February implemented beneficial ownership, which was rushed through, by the way. I don't know how long that had. I either had 10 days more to go or it only went for 10 days and it was rushed through. Well, we're pleasing the UK.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious. The same party that's in power now, the same ones that on their left wing was utilizing the slogan, enough is enough, that we borrowed from them without telling the people that, oh, by the way, this is borrowed. This is borrowed. This is not really just for you. It's borrowed. Just in case. They didn't mention that. So now that they borrowed this statement, do they have any sort of relationship with the UK government that we are unaware of? Is there some friendliness beyond belief that we should be enlightened about? I also know that Mr. Panton would have signed us up to this Blue Belt agreement with the governor, Ms. Jean Owen. And again, I want to talk about that because if we think that the only thing the UK is trying to push on us is about tapping our telephones, about, gay pride, about ex-cons being able to run, not our prison, sorry, our parliament, At least both of them starts with a P, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
God bless us. So when we now see that they have borrowed this enough is enough, because I don't know about anybody else, but like I said, I honestly thought it was a very catchy statement, because sometimes that's just how you feel. Enough is enough. But it leaves a certain distaste in your mouth when you feel, hold on. So this wasn't something homegrown then. You borrowed this.
Yeah.
And it's connected with the party. We know that the leader worked in the UK for quite some period of time in the Cayman office. All I'm saying is there's a lot of interesting things that comes out of this particular thing. And, of course, we intend to go digging.
Right.
Because I believe that this country, as I have stated even when I was in Parliament, I don't know if you read that story, Gulliver Travels.
Yes.
Well, Gulliver went to the land of Lilliput, and you had all these little small people, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to know, little people hate giants, even if you're a good one. But slowly but surely, one string at a time, while Gulliver was asleep, they tied Gulliver up. One little string at a time. And I'm suggesting to you in this country, ladies and gentlemen, that whether it's the pride, the gay pride, whether it's going to be the marijuana, whether it's going to be tapping your telecommunications, whether it's going to be ex-cons can run your parliament, and the list goes on, or the Blue Belt Agreement and this agreement and that agreement, I'm telling you that in my humble opinion, this country, Gulliver, in all of our travels and all of our successes that we have made, we are allowing ourselves to be tied up one string at a time, just like they did in the land of Lilliput. And we have to wake up. We have to wake up before these little minions have tied us all up with these strings. Or this great country that we made it, that our forefathers made it as Gulliver, will not be able to get up. I need you to wake up and see precisely what is happening, one string at a time. So either way, let's be clear about this. Enough is enough was not necessarily for us. I'd like to know exactly who it was for.
Indeed. Well, a writer to the program says it very succinctly. We are in a bad situation with CUC, and it seems like there's no way out. Again, I think the sentiment is shared by a number of persons, particularly those who may be receiving their July bill and are still waiting for the savings. A decrease, as the company promises, of 9% is likely to be shown on your July bills. Now, the question is what you're receiving this month may, of course, account for June's bills. But I thought there was also a 2-month lag. So if we're in July now, we're paying for May, if memory serves correct. But who knows? One thing is for certain, there have been no decreases in utility bills, certainly not since the summer began. And traditionally, it is only going to get hotter and arguably more expensive. So I thank you, Ellio, for your commentary on that, as well as, again, just reading some of the posts coming from the listening audience. 55 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock is the time in studios. I suppose it does give us a few minutes to share some other statistics also coming from the Economic and Statistics Unit, as contained in the Labor Force Survey report for the fall of 2024. In it, around 800 more people were working in the autumn last year than it was in the autumn of 2023. But fewer than 100 of those 800 additional jobs went to Caymanians. Although the survey conducted between the end of September and the 10th of November last year found that the unemployment rate has fallen, the number of employed Caymanians was at 21,563, only slightly up from the 21,487 at the end of 2023. According to the report, the total labor force increased by 0.5% year on year to reach 60,828 persons. The employed labor force was estimated at 59,393, an increase of 1.5% compared to the second half of 2023. The number of unemployed people was estimated at 1,435, a decrease of 28.6% year on year. Of those unemployed, Caymanians decreased by 8.3% to 1,048, and unemployed Caymanians decreased by almost 73%, 72.9. The report gives, for those of you who are curious about the population expansion and growth, the report gives a total population estimate of 88,833 for the second half of 2024, representing an increase of 4.8% from the previous year's estimate of 84,000. The Caymanian population, meanwhile, reached 8,184 compared to 7,690 persons in the second half of 2023. So we have certainly added to the population side for us Caymanians. On the non-Caymanian side, the population was estimated at 40,016, representing the single largest increase of the report, a 5.4% increase on the previous year. So as we continue to say, we Caymanians are growing in the minority category as the foreign workforce continues to increase and dominate the jobs that are available in the overall labor force. But unemployment for the Cayman Islands stood at 2.4% for the second half of 2024, representing a small but noticeable decrease of 0.9% compared to the same period last year. So there are jobs out there and more people are getting them, but regrettably, that more people does not account for Caymanians. Hopefully this is something that perhaps Minister Miles and his National Coalition for Caymanian Government will seek to address as part of their administration's priorities.
Well, according to how you spoke about the cleanup program,
you'd swear.
I think unemployment should be resolved in about a year or two.
Yes, so he says, indeed. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. We're going to pause, take a short commercial break, check in once again with our news partner, the BBC, for the top of the hour news. But keep it locked. There'll be more Straight Talk still to come right here on Bobo 103.1 FM.
Bobo.
The BBC's From Our Own Correspondent.
In today's Russia, no one is allowed anywhere near the political stage if they pose a serious challenge to Vladimir Putin.
Stories and reflections from our reporters around the world.
There is a major sense of insecurity here. More people are coming in from Sudan every day.
From Our Own Correspondent from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
How can we understand the world better?
The BBC World Service is a window onto the wider world.
A vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
News, reports, and analysis from around the world.
Stories we think matter.
Different people from different societies.
We get to the heart of global issues.
News, stories, and global perspectives from the BBC World Service.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. The BBC is the world's most trusted news source. And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to top shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman, on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority. At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands. Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
With the BBC World News, I'm Tom Dewsbury. Hello. President Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have been meeting for a second time to discuss efforts to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza, a day after the two leaders had dinner at the White House. Our North America correspondent Peter Bowes reports.
This meeting between President Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister appears to be a last-minute addition to Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu's schedule during his visit to Washington. Earlier, at a cabinet meeting, Mr. Trump said the plan was to talk almost exclusively about Israel's war in Gaza, which he said they had to get sorted. Steve Witkoff, the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, was also at the cabinet meeting, said it was hoped an agreement will be reached by the end of the week. He added that it will involve a 60-day ceasefire, with 10 hostages being released, along with the bodies of 9 others.
The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for 2 senior leaders of the Afghan Taliban, accusing them of crimes against humanity for persecuting women and girls. Our South Asia regional editor, Ambrasan Etarajan, has more details.
One is the supreme leader of the group, Haibatullah Akhundzada, and the Taliban Chief Justice Abdul Hakim Haqqani. And the court accuses them of committing gender-based persecution. Now, what the judges are saying is that while the Taliban have imposed certain rules and prohibitions on the population as a whole, they have specifically targeted girls and women by reason of their gender, depriving them of fundamental rights and freedom. We don't know how these arrest warrants can be implemented because the supreme leader, he is very secluded, is elusive, he remains in southern Afghanistan, and he doesn't travel much.
King Charles has told a state banquet for the French President Emmanuel Macron that the relationship between the UK and France is essential for preserving peace in Europe. Speaking at Windsor Castle, Charles said both countries faced a multitude of complex threats, but they'd face them together as friends and allies. President Macron said France and Britain had a unique relationship.
When your poppies bloom among our bleuets, when Paddington travels to France and Asterix to Britain, when British humour and French irony converge, when our common sense and sensibility overcome our pride and prejudice, we are unstoppable. And when we come together around one table, then everything is possible.
The head of France's Foreign Intelligence Service has said that Iran's nuclear program sustained serious damage and has been pushed back by several months after last month's airstrikes by the United States and Israel. Speaking on French television, Nicolas Lenaire said there was still uncertainty about the whereabouts of its highly enriched uranium stocks, which he said remained in the hands of authorities. BBC News. Turkish media are reporting that the mayor of the city of Adana, who was detained on Saturday, will be held in jail pending trial on corruption charges. Zeydan Karalar is among a number of mayors from the main opposition Republican People's Party and dozens of their associates to be arrested in recent days. The governor of Texas says more than 160 people are still missing following Friday's devastating flash floods. Greg Abbott said that figure was for the Kerr County alone, one of the worst hit areas. Officials have confirmed that 109 people are now known to have died. Carl Nasman's with rescue teams in Comfort, Texas.
This is not an easy task whatsoever. We're still along the Guadalupe River, and you can see large piles of debris that's washed down. It just shows you, first of all, of course, how powerful those floodwaters were, but it also gives you a sense of the scale of what these rescue teams, these search teams are really dealing with, working kind of piece by piece, trying to get some of those logs and branches and fallen trees out of that pile. And of course, if you do suspect that there could be somebody in there, you want to do that process carefully and as slowly as possible.
Kenya's main government-funded human rights agency says the number of people now known to have died during Monday's nationwide anti-government protests has risen to 31. It says more than 500 people were arrested and that there have been 2 enforced disappearances. The United Nations has criticised the Kenyan police for using lethal force, including live ammunition. A Kenyan police statement said more than 50 officers were injured. In football, the English Premier League team Chelsea have secured their place in the Club World Cup final after beating the Brazilian side Fluminense. The match finished 2-0 with Chelsea's new signing João Pedro scoring both goals on his debut. They'll face either Real Madrid or Paris Saint-Germain, who play in the other semi-final on Wednesday. That's your very latest BBC World News.
The views and Opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM with your host, Ellio Solomon, myself, Austin Harris, as we move now swiftly into our final half-hour segment here on the program with the Diamond Studios. Now, 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. The phone lines remain open at 745-2626 is the studio number if you want to call in and lend your voice to our ongoing conversations, plural, then by all means, we would love to hear from you. Likewise, if, calling toll-free or perhaps as free as possible, you can certainly reach us on our WhatsApp number by dialing 928-2562. All you need is an internet connection, Wi-Fi or otherwise, I'm sure will do. And from there, you can either send us a WhatsApp audio note or a traditional WhatsApp text message. And rounding off our communication options, you can also email us at host@straighttalk.ky. Just talking just prior to the break there about the modest drop in the unemployment rate, fall of some 0.9% to 2.4% during the second half of 2024. Again, jobs being added to the labor market. Not a lot of those jobs going to Caymanians. But again, as I think my colleagues quoted, if you listen to the comments emanating from the Minister for Caymanian Employment, Michael Miles, unemployment should be resolved in a year's time, no problem at all.
Quicker clock. Well, I think that's a sort of a national number that you're mentioning in terms of unemployment.
Yes.
I wonder what it is on specifically for Caymanians. Yeah?
Caymanian side, exactly. No, it's a very good question.
I'm sure it's much higher.
I'm sure it is, indeed. I'm sure it is. Let me see if I can find some of those statistics on Caymanians just very quickly.
As we search,
the workforce continues to be dominated by work permit holders and non-Caymanian residents with the right to work. In the fall of 2024, just 22,535 of the 60,000 people employed in the Cayman Islands were Caymanian. The rest of the workforce comprises well over 33,000 work permit holders and almost 5,000 permanent residents. In terms of the unemployment numbers specifically for Caymanians, although the service, found the unemployment rate fell by 0.4% over the year, the number of employed Caymanians was 21,563, up from 21,487. So no, they still haven't shared the statistics, but let me see if I can pull up the labor force survey itself individually, where we can see some of the key performance indicators. Let me just scroll down very quickly, and let's see. Give me the executive summary. Here we go. Summary indicators. Employed, unemployed Caymanians. So we're looking at unemployed amongst Caymanians is 8.3% in 2023 compared to spring 24. No, again, they used 8.3% there, change or fall. So I'm going to have to look at this more carefully. I'll get back to you, Ellio, on this particular subject.
Well, it would take that Ellio Solomon to ask you a question to just completely throw you off.
It would. I think you take great joy in doing just that.
You're probably right, you know.
He's like, I'm going to mess him up. He thinks he's got this thing covered.
No, but honestly,
I'm going to throw him for a loop.
It really is. It's just how my mind works, because I saw that and I said, yeah, but poor Caymanians have probably increased by 5%.
Probably.
You know, exactly. And then the national thing, it just shows 2.something%. How we suffer in the numbers, right?
Yeah. Employed, underemployed, unemployed.
It's like when I'll never forget when they had one gentleman on the radio came on many years ago talking about the vaccinations and that this small percentage that's adversely affected. And that was a painful moment for me because I'm saying, yes, well, I have one of those small percentages at home. It's a pretty big, important percentage to me. But either way, yeah. So I know all about the percentages.
And normally they take the time to quote what the national unemployment rate of 2.4% is, but normally they identify the unemployment, particularly amongst Caymanians.
Someone's saying our internet's gone down again. Bollocks.
Well, nope. We are at 2,700 kilobytes per minute. Our internet connection is very, very strong on this side. So I'm willing to bet that it is the internet connection on the listener or viewer side of things.
Fine. Sort your problem out then is what you're saying.
Pretty much. Check your cable provider.
I did get a text, by the way, when you were talking about the public beach issue.
Yes.
Someone was basically saying that they had a get-together on the weekend. And that they had reserved a cottage at one of the public beach near the Seafire.
Yes.
And that one of the cleaning persons that was, held responsible for cleaning up the place, obviously, they didn't really do it. They were just busy on their cell phones.
Right.
And that they ended up having to borrow the equipment from the person and go ahead and do the cleaning themselves.
Oh, wow.
So either way, they're basically saying that the housekeeping supervisors need to do some random checking to make sure cleaners are cleaning.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not happening. Well, there'll be a lot of things, I think, for Mr. Rudder to sort out. I like I said, while you're searching through that, I, again, just want to mention, because people only tend to ever recall whenever you say something that's not nice, especially the person who the not nice is being aimed at. But I want to give the Minister for Tourism kudos again, accolades. I like his statements. I like what he's talking about, trying to reintroduce Caymanians into our tourism industry. It's a common sense thing, but common sense, again, isn't all that common anymore, they say. So it's good to have someone making those level of expressions. And the proof will be in the pudding. I look forward to seeing what he's actually going to do and how he's going to go about getting that, making that happen.
I found the statistic. Here it is. The unemployment labor force had a head count of 1,435 persons, yielding an overall unemployment rate of 2.4%. However, amongst Caymanians, unemployment amongst Caymanians stood at 4.6%.
You see, I was right.
So you were absolutely right. We're seeing again. It is a small decline in the unemployed side for Caymanians, but very clearly, what the report also goes on to state that we're seeing a further degradation by status, showing that Caymanians and permanent residents had the top unemployment rates of 4.6 and 3.8% respectively. Meanwhile, non-Caymanians had the lowest of 0.6%, suggesting again the top jobs, or the jobs in general, are continuing to go to non-Caymanians, while Caymanians, and interestingly those with permanent residence, continue to be ranking high on the unemployment side. So for those of you who thought getting your PR might be advantageous for you, arguably you had better chances when you were a work permit holder.
I'll never forget. I had a lady. She was from Canada. She told me that. She said, I never had a problem getting a job until I became a Caymanian. I said, well, welcome on board.
Welcome to the club.
I never knew my father. Yeah. No, you know what it is. Yeah. That Caymanian is a mark that you get on your head.
You wanted to be a Caymanian so bad. Now you are. Adding to the employment woes, we also see the Cayman Islands recorded a low inflation rate for the first quarter of 2025, according to the Cayman Independent today. This marked a 1.1% decrease compared to the final quarter of 2024, but an increase of 0.3% from the same quarter last year. The main contributors to the inflation rate of 1.8% was a 9.7% rise in the cost of education, a 7.3% rise in the cost of transportation, and a 7.2% 7.2% rise in the costs of restaurant and hotels. Let's break this down. The increased cost in education was mainly due to a 16.1% increase in the price of primary education and a 7.3% increase in the cost of secondary education. So primary and elementary, 7.3%, and secondary high school also increased. The increase in the transportation index was largely due to the 22.3% increase in the price index for the purchase of motor vehicles and a 14.1% increase in the cost of purchased transport services. Purchased transport services. What do you figure that is? Taxis? Or hired vehicles? Rental cars, maybe? I don't know. But certainly motor vehicles are leading the way in terms of increased costs. Just ask Ford if you want to buy a new truck. It's going to cost you a lot more money this year than it did last year. On the restaurant and hotels side, the increase of 8.8% was due to a bump in the average price of restaurants, cafes, and the like. Other contributors to the inflation rate included a 5% increase in the cost of communication, a 3.8% rise in the cost of health, and a 3% rise in the cost of food and non-alcoholic beverages. I guess when you say it at 1.8% inflation rate, doesn't seem like, it's gone up that much, but arguably when you start to break it down and you look at either your, monthly or weekly grocery bill, certainly you'll see an increase there, or for those of you who pay for school, undoubtedly you'll see an increase in your monthly obligations to send your kids to school. So that is what the again, I think it's the Economic Statistics Office again that may have published those numbers, which are also very likely. So there you go. Today is a day for stats and statistics, everything you wanted to know about the economy, but may have been afraid to ask.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if you grab a compendium of statistics, you'll have a lot to digest there.
Yes.
But your quality of life thing wasn't that bad as well. Did you mention that?
It wasn't.
Not too shabby, Mr. Harris.
I'm definitely going to have to make a point to follow that quality of life survey because, again, and I'm glad I'm not the only one. I swear this is the first time I've ever seen it or even noticed it. And I'm glad because my colleague, suggested he too was seeing it for the first time, so I don't feel lonely.
But I said I heard it. I did hear about it before. There was someone, again, I'm not advertising our friends there, but I did hear someone mentioning it and mentioning specifically that survey. Again, if they're doing 1,500 homes or something, I think you mentioned there.
Yeah.
One can question how comprehensive that brings up the percentage to, but either way, we thank the Statistics Office for all that they do. I'm sure they're working hard, doing a lot of interesting things.
Indeed.
They've come to my house once or twice. Maybe I'm a target, Mr. Harris.
Maybe.
Got to hear what Solomon says about this. they flagged that one. No, I'm just kidding.
Looking at the population increase, and also from the Labor Force Survey, they break it down by district. And apparently Georgetown is now, as of 2024, the fastest growing district in the Cayman Islands. Georgetown is home to some 43,220 persons,
wow.
Which is a significant increase from what was respectively what many of us thought was the largest growing district in Cayman, being Boddentown. Boddentown's at 17,648 in third place, with West Bay, of course, taking in the number 2 spot with 19,636 residents.
But hold on a second now. The way that's being read, are we talking about the fastest growing, or are we talking about the largest population?
The largest population.
The reason I say because the fastest growing could be there's one person in the Brock and 2 people just moved there, so they had a 200% increase. I'm just checking.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, fair enough. Here's a statistic that you'd like, Ellio.
Well, give me.
Out of the 88,833 persons living in the Cayman Islands, women still outnumber the men.
By how much?
By at least almost 600 persons, 44,771 women to 44,063 men. So
all I can say, if there's any guys out there in the chorus, we can only hope that trend will continue.
Yeah, women are 50.4% of the population, whilst men are just a measly 49.6%. Taking a look at the statistics by district and sex, according to the labor force survey report for the fall of 2024. Non-Caymanian. Yeah, so there you go. Some interesting statistics coming out. Just wanted to recommend persons want to see this labor force survey. They can log on to www.eso.ky. And I think it's publications that one would print, one would press, but certainly it should feature, predominantly on the main page showing the labor force survey fall report 2024. We're looking at about another big book, Ellio, 205 pages of riveting detail for persons who...
You be nice now. Stop troubling the minister again.
It's so daunting. I don't know what I'm going to do. I need 6 months to cover this information.
You see, this is what I don't like about you, Austin. You see, you're talking this nonsense and making me laugh, and then I don't want to be dragged into your mockery.
I know you're being dragged in, an unwilling participant. I apologize.
I don't want to partake in this sort of thing.
I never knew my father.
I never knew my father. It's like, why are you troubling that goodly minister again?
Leave him alone. He's having a hard enough time already.
On a specific note, how much pages was in that particular report?
This last one? 205.
205 minus 54 is what? That sounds like 46 on the first one.
He was complaining about 154 pages.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, 154 was a book. 205 must be a novel. I don't know.
You are so mean.
51, a whole 51 more pages. I don't know how he's going to handle it.
No pictures.
No pictures. No pictures. A lot of graphs.
As you would describe it, dry.
Dry. Yes, dry.
That itself lends an image.
That does lend an image.
It's rather dry.
Rather dry indeed. Nothing moist like the weather we've been enjoying.
No pictures.
No pictures at all. I saw somewhere that Acting Governor Franz Manderson has made 3 appointments to the Cayman Islands Constitutional Commission. The individuals are our good friend John Lemuel Hurlston. You might remember that name from the Minimum Wage Advisory Council that made its recommendation several years ago that the government just got around to addressing. We're not going to go there, Ellio. I'm just throwing it out there. Other members include Alex Henderson, who served as a judge in the Grand Court, as well as...
So what's all this?
This is the new appointments to the Constitutional Commission announced by the Honorable Acting Governor Franz Manderson with immediate effect. In a press release that was issued on the 4th of July, so that was that Friday, Lem Hurlston, Judge Alex Henderson, and Annalisa Shibley are the 3 new members.
What's this Constitutional Commission doing?
Well, let's
What's
see.
the terms of reference there?
The Constitutional
This is something different than the Human Rights.
The Constitutional Commission is a 3-person independent body established under Section 118 of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. It plays a vital role in advising the government on constitutional matters, publishing materials to foster informed public discussion, and promoting understanding and awareness of the Constitution and its values. Its core functions include advising the government on questions concerning constitutional status and the development in the Cayman Islands.
When was this created?
Publishing reports, discussion papers, and informational documents on constitutional issues, promoting understanding and awareness of the Constitution, and exercising any additional functions as described by law. Commission members, all of whom are volunteers, are appointed by the governor in consultation with the premier and leader of the opposition. Deputy Governor Franz Manderson said in the press release, I'm very pleased to announce the appointment of these three highly accomplished individuals to the Constitutional Commission. Their extensive experience, diverse perspectives, and unwavering commitment to public service will be invaluable to the Commission's important work in strengthening understanding of our Constitution and supporting good governance in the Cayman Islands. So there you go. Three new persons.
Is this something of recent, sir, or this has been?
Yeah, this was done on Friday, the 4th of July.
But this is just, I mean, this is just being established now for the first time.
I
don't recall it.
Let's see.
Check it out, Mr. Harris.
See, again with these poignant questions. I tell you, he gets a kick out of it.
We have to do a good job here.
Let's see the Constitutional Commission. Let's see constitutional makeup. Constitutional. Let's look it up.
Mr. Lemuel Harrison is a great guy.
Commission.
I remember when he used to be the what was it? Chief Secretary.
Yes.
For quite some time. Always thought he would be a good speaker of the House.
Apparently it's been around for a while. Other past members also included Sophia Ann Harris, no relation, but great attorney, and Julian Banks.
Well, she's also Harris Solomon.
See, there you see. Look at that.
Talk about
really good family lineage right there. I'm telling you.
I like that, Harris Solomon.
I like that, Harris Solomon.
Has a ring to it, doesn't it, Harris?
It does have a ring to it, indeed. Quite right, indeed.
You're right.
So, yeah, it would suggest the Constitutional Commission has been around for some time. And again, we just have three more persons added to it. And I want to say it may be a part of the Standards for Public Life Commission. I'm not sure. I have to look at that. But, yeah, so there you have it.
Well, the Committee for Standards in Public Life is somehow connected.
Sophia Harris, past member of the commission, founder of the law firm. Julian Banks, also past commission. Maybe don't quote me on the Commission for Public and Standards Life.
We'll check it out.
I'm just trying to scan the Google headlines as quickly as I can.
We'll check it out.
We will. But that's all the time we have for you for
beautiful virtual Monday.
But it was a beautiful Tuesday discussion.
Virtual Monday.
Virtual Monday, indeed. Good chat. Obviously, we have a short week. But obviously, the great conversations will continue tomorrow. As always, want to encourage our listening audience. We've got a number of new persons tuning in today, so welcome to those new persons listening for the first time. And as always, to those faithful followers who've been listening for 4 months and counting, we appreciate you and got nothing but love for you. Encouraging you to tune in to Straight Talk each and every weekday evening, starting at 4:30, going all the way to 6:30. Right here on Bobo 103.1 FM.
The home of the BBC.